Hello. So today I have for you my weekly wrap up. It is June 25th, and I read 8 books this past week. The first one was less of a book and more of a short story. It was off my Kindle app. I don't actually use my actual Kindle. I should probably get rid of it. But it was conservative, founded by the realization that the protest music he grew up on does not actually support his current hateful ideology by Chuck Tingle. And I realized that this guy gets like all of his like really weird erotica stuff really gets like people like talk about it a lot and post about it. But I realized as I read this, and I went on Goodreads to rate it, that nobody actually reads his stuff, or if they do, they don't put it on Goodreads, because I'm one of 3 ratings, and I'm the only review, and my review isn't actually even very big. It's just like this was so much more well written than it had to be, and that's true. I like it. It was stupidly well written. But yeah, I read it. I forget how much I gave it. I think I gave like 4 stars, something like that. Let's actually go and look. If we go into our Goodreads, I gave it 4 stars. Yeah. So there's that. I read that. Then I finished up my reread of Fear by Michael Grant, and this is the Gone book where my favorite character dies in, so I'm sad. But this, if you hear rustling, it's because Jelly Jam is having fun in the book cart. Anyway, but the Gone series is a young adult series, like science fiction horror series about this town in California where one day a like bubble appears, like surrounding the town. Everybody over the age of 14, so 15 and up, they just disappear. And as well as that, there are a lot of mutants and stuff like that, both in terms of the kids, they're getting mutations, and also animals, wildlife, stuff like that. It's a really fucking series. It's older. This is a series that I read when I was in high school, and I loved it so much. I think the last book of the series came out in 2013. Then there was a sequel trilogy published that I never read. But it's so good. There's such a huge cast of characters. They're real dark. It's Michael Grant. He helped write the Animorph series. They're super dark. There's, cannibalism, lots and lots of violence, all sorts of stuff. Love it so much. This book, I give it 5 out of 5 stars. I give every single book of the series 5 out of 5 stars. This is, I think, probably one of my least favorite books, and not just because my favorite character dies in it, but that's a big part of it. But yeah, I reread it. Then there was another reread. That was for A Black Wing's Beating by Alex London. This is a fantasy book. It's the first in a fantasy trilogy. I read the Proxy duology by this guy when I was in high school. I really enjoyed them. This, I think, is not quite as good. So this is this fantasy situation where there's a big like kind of culture around like birds, falconry, stuff like that. We've got 2 main characters. We have Bryson and Kylie, which are, I'm sorry, I don't really buy those. Those are not fantasy names. Those are the names of 2 8th graders. And Kylie has the talent, but she doesn't want to use it. And Bryson is insufferable, and I liked him a lot. I thought he's so dumb. He's just super self-centered, stupid. But yeah, it was okay. This is a read. I read this one. I never read anything else in this series. I intend to now. But it's okay. It's decent. It's good enough that I do want to continue on with the series. But it's not super enticing to me. I give it 3.75 out of 5 stars. So there's that. Then, oh man, I read something interesting here. So this is a manga. This one I haven't actually hauled it yet. This is a Caste Heaven Volume 1 by Chise Ogawa. This is, as you can see, and this is not a plot I've read anywhere other than fan fiction. Like, this is a very fan fiction-y, fan servicey kind of plot. Basically, the idea behind this is that there is this class game that every so often they mix it up and they have to find like cards, and the higher suit, they're like at the top of the class, and if you get the Joker, then everybody just bullies you relentlessly. And as we see in the first part, normally that means our first kid that gets bullied, relentlessly, he just like gets basketballs thrown in his face, stuff like that. And he just gets picked on pretty heavily. And then the former king ends up getting the Joker card, and he ends up like really like there's a lot of stuff happened. Like this came plastic wrapped. Objectively, was this good? Would I recommend you read it? Did I have fun with it? Yes. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Then this next one's not really a book. It's more of like an art collection, and it is this science fiction horror movie posters in full color. It's just this collection of like horror movie and science fiction posters from like the 40s to the 70s. This is my favorite one. So it was fun. I don't really know that I rated it anything. I think it was fun. I did flip through it and I read what text there was to read. Then I read Paranoid Park by Blake Nelson, which is a book about this kid, Alex. I believe his name is Alex, who he likes skateboarding. There's like this area called Paranoid Park, which is really just like an underground kind of skating scene. I'm pretty sure this takes place in like Portland, or something like that, somewhere around there. I'm pretty sure it's Oregon in some way. Let me see. Is it Portland? It's definitely Portland. But anyway, this kid ends up accidentally killing a guy. And this is about like his guilt and kind of like the fact that the cops might be kind of onto him. Amazingly, Gus Van Sant made a movie out of this, which is weird. I want to watch it. The fact that I wouldn't maybe be interested in watching it, except for the fact that Gus Van Sant made one, and that seems like a weird director for this. I guess it is like kind of like sad teen boy trying to figure out what to do with his life after something terrible happens, which I guess checks out, but weird. I gotta let Jelly Jam out of the room. No, she's fine. The book itself, it was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't anything that I'm ever going to be really wanting to reread at any point. It was good enough that I want to watch the movie. So there's that. I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I read another reread, actually. It was a big week of rereads. I read Miracle Wimp, which is by Erik P. Kraft. Or this, again, when I was in high school, I read this. And this is about this kid. This is very much early, mid-2000s boys YA. This is about this. It's like, it's like Diver Wimpy Kid, but like a little bit higher reading level. It's about this kid who ends up, like, he's just kind of a loser. And there is some kind of sadder stuff going on here. There's like this, like, everybody in this school is just mean, and he's just kind of sick of it. But yeah, he draws cartoons. He's in a wood shop. There's really not that much going on, but it wasn't bad, so I give it 3 out of 5 stars. And then I did finish my Gone series reread with Light, and I cried so much. This is the ending of like the original series, like the main series, and I just, every single time I've read this book, I have bawled my eyes out, and this time was really like, no, do you want out, Jelly Jam? This time was really no exception. Like, I bawled my eyes out at the last 70 pages, just straight on. 5 out of 5 stars. This is my, I think, favorite comic book, which really Lies was I used to call Lies my favorite comic book, but it's not my favorite comic book, and it's like my 4th favorite comic book. But this, I think it goes Light, Plague. You know, I can actually go, let me see my spreadsheet. Gone series, favorite order, Light, Plague, Hunger, Lies, Gone, Fear. So yeah, Fear is my least favorite. It's probably just because my favorite character dies in that one. But yeah, I cried. 5 out of 5 stars. Currently, I am reading As Many Nows as I Can Get by Shauna Youngdahl, which is depressing. So part of me thinks this would be an interesting like movie or TV series, but they'd really have to do a lot of like script work because it's jumping all over the place time-wise. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's decent. So these, plus that Chuck Tingle short story, or what I read this past week, that's all for today. Next week's will be from a different location, possibly. Probably. I mean, it will be, so. Unless something goes terribly wrong, because we're moving. But yeah, that is all I have for today. I'll talk to you later, and goodbye.